Hi guys, what's up? This is Shubhadeep from eGadgets for you. Now in this video, I'll give you the comparison between the Samsung Galaxy J2 on the right hand side of the screen and the Samsung Galaxy J5 on the left hand side of the screen. J2 is the latest entrant from the J series of Samsung and is available at a much cheaper price than that of the J5. Now both the J5 and J7 originally used to be sold at Flipkart, but currently both the devices are now available in Samsung retail outlets as well. It's targeted for the mid-range and the lower sections from Samsung. Now both the devices comes with a black, white and the gold variation. Let us start with the physical appearance at first. For the Samsung Galaxy J2 at the top you will find the 3.5mm jack input, whereas for the Samsung Galaxy J5 there is nothing at the top, although there is a Qualcomm branding with a sticker present for J5 at the top. On the frontal end of both the handsets you will find the earpiece, the sensors, the Samsung branding, but the Samsung Galaxy J2 has a 2MP shooter at the front, whereas it is 5MP shooter at the front for Samsung Galaxy J5. Now the Samsung Galaxy J5 has an additional LED light over here. It's not an LED flash but just an LED light. Now the Samsung Galaxy J5 has a 5" of screen, whereas it's 4.7" of screen for Samsung Galaxy J2. Both the handsets have a home button and the back button and the multitasking button on either side of the home button. Now at the bottom for both the handsets you will find that the USB connector or the charger point is present just at the middle, but for the Samsung Galaxy J2 you have the microphone over here, whereas for the J5 on either side of the USB charger you have the microphone and the 3.5mm jack input. Now on the left hand side for Samsung Galaxy J5 as well as for J2 we have the volume rockers. Looks good, but both are plastic build. Even the edges of both the handsets looks very good and very smooth, but the orientations, the rounded edges, each and everything looks similar, but they are plastic at the end of the day. On the right hand side for both the handsets you will find the power on and off button or the lock screen button. Now on the back for Samsung Galaxy J5 we have a 13MP shooter with LED flash and the speaker grills, whereas for Samsung Galaxy J2 we have the 5MP shooter only with LED flash and the speaker grills. Both the handsets have a Samsung branding and the 4G and the Duos branding at the back. Now the Samsung Galaxy J2 has a texture-like finish at the end, thus giving a good grasp for the J2 while placed on any smooth surface. But the Samsung Galaxy J5 has a smooth rear, so that is the reason it tends to get a bit slippery when kept on a smooth surface. Both the Galaxy J2 and the J5 have a removable back, and it exposes the battery and the dual micro SIM slot for both the handsets. Now on top of the primary micro SIM you have the capability to add the additional micro SD card that supports up to 128 gigs in both the devices. The Samsung Galaxy J2 on the right hand side of the screen has a 2000 mAh battery, whereas it's 2600 mAh battery for the Samsung Galaxy J5. Figuratively, obviously the J5 is a clear winner than the J2, but both have a good tendency to withhold the charge for extra usage. Even on a high usage, both the handsets tends to last for a full working day. The J5 definitely has an edge in terms of lasting its last bit of juice than that of the Samsung Galaxy J2. Both the Samsung Galaxy J2 and the J5 are budget oriented handsets from Samsung, hence the auto brightness sensors are missing in both the handsets. You have to manually adjust them. Additionally, if you go to the toggle menus you will find for both the handsets both are quite similar. You do have the ultra fast saving mode in both the handsets. The flashlight and other options are also quite similar for J2 as well as for J5. Now even after settings, the orientation you will find a bit different in J5, which follows the latest trend that you find in the Samsung Galaxy S6 or the A8 or stuff like that on the high-end phones from Samsung. If we navigate to about device just at the bottom of for both the handsets, you will find that it runs on an Android version of 5.1.1, which is Lollipop straight out of the box. So you get the latest OS and offering in both the handsets for J2 as well as J5. Now storage wise, there is similarity in both the handsets as both has 8 gigs of internal memory, and out of which something around 4 gigs is available to the user. So that is quite low at the end of the day, as because there is a lot to offer from the stores as well as feature wise for both the devices. So 4 gigs is nothing. There comes the additional provision to add the micro SD card up to 128 gigs. in the Samsung Galaxy J2, like they have actually given something under the more connection settings that says a download booster. If you enable this particular option in the Samsung Galaxy J2, it will enable both your Wi-Fi and your 3G, all your 4G connection, and give you the maximum optimum speed for download upload purpose while surfing the nets or using the internet in your Samsung Galaxy J2. This is quite surprisingly missing in the Samsung Galaxy J5. Quite rightly so, because J2 is the latest handset from Samsung, whereas J5 is around 3 months old. So that way or the other, it's a new feature that has been added to the J2. Similarly, from an apps point of view, if you see that the orientation is quite similar, but J5 and J7 has a reputation of being bragged for gaming purposes or a gaming device. So it does have some pre-installed games that comes along with the Samsung Galaxy J5, and in the game zone also you can get an additional 3,200 rupees of game points free to use while purchasing the Samsung Galaxy J5. This particular offer is also valid in the Samsung Galaxy J7. In J2, you do have this particular option that says Opera Max. Now this particular feature enables you to optimize the available apps and use them, 16 of them at one point of time, where you run a low battery or a low data usage. So with the use of this particular app of Opera Max, you can easily synchronize and use only those particular apps that you want to use at that particular point of time. This feature is missing in the Samsung Galaxy J5. Again, the reason that the J2 is the latest handset from Samsung, so the new feature is being added over there. Both have a smart manager, so you can easily optimize your battery, the storage, the RAM and the device security by just hitting the one button of Clean All. So that way the other orientations are quite similar. Both have the pre-installed Google apps also over there. That comes in handy end of the day. And of course the Samsung Galaxy J5 has pre-installed Microsoft apps, which are quite surprisingly missing in J2. But having said that, it's not a deal breaker, because you can easily go ahead and install the apps from the App Store in your Samsung Galaxy J2. This is an interesting aspect. The Samsung Galaxy J2 is priced way below than that of the Galaxy J5, but the score of Antutu benchmark surpasses that of the J5 by some points. This is something which is very, very interesting. Now if I dig deep into the Samsung Galaxy J2, you will find that this particular device runs on a Exynos 3475 chipset with a quad-core processor that is clocked at 1.3 GHz. It has a 1 GB of RAM. Whereas the Samsung Galaxy J5, it runs on a Qualcomm Snapdragon 410 chipset with a quad-core processor of 1.2 GHz only. So the difference in the speed of the processor makes up the difference. But the Samsung Galaxy J5 adds up for the RAM. It has a 1.5 gigs of RAM. So that way or the other, it does have some tendency that both the handset does performs equally great and equally good in any tasks that has been thrown to it. The orientation is also quite similar. You have the themes to choose from, but the Samsung Galaxy J2 has some of the cool themes to choose from. Like if I go ahead and apply any of the particular theme from the Samsung Galaxy J2, not only the icons but also the phone book and each and everything changes along with the theme. But this particular feature is not there for the Samsung Galaxy J5. It only changes the background and the screensavers or the wallpapers only. So that way or the other, the latest orientations you can easily find in the Samsung Galaxy J2. There are some interesting facts when it comes to the display of both the devices. The Samsung Galaxy J2 has a 4.7 inch of screen, whereas it is 5 inch of screen for the Samsung Galaxy J5. Both have a Super AMOLED touchscreen display with 16 of colors. So that way it does adds up to the fact that you get that bit of extra brightness, that bit of extra resolutions, the contrast, the saturations, the sharpness, the color combinations, each and everything are just perfect just because of the Super AMOLED. Now the Samsung Galaxy J2 has a resolution of 540 x 960 pixel, whereas it's 720 x 1280 pixel for the Samsung Galaxy J5. So that department obviously goes to the J5, and rightly so. If you see very minutely, there is a bit of sharpness, a bit of brightness more visible in the J5 than that of the J2, but it's quite minimum and not so distinct to the normal human eyes. Performance is a great delight while browsing the net also in both the handsets. You will find that the viewing angles and each and every picture orientations, the color combinations, each and everything are great. Even the pinch to zoom works perfectly in both the handsets. There is no lag for the pinch to zoom also. The loading of the news, the browsing of the internet, each and everything are our delight with the Samsung Galaxy J5 as well as for the J2. So that way or the other, it's very difficult to predict that which one outperforms than the other. The orientation is similar in both the handsets. Now the most talked about feature for any smartphones nowadays is a camera. The Samsung Galaxy J2 has a mere 5 megapixel shooter at the back and a 2 megapixel shooter at the front, whereas for the Samsung Galaxy J5 it has a 13 megapixel shooter at the back with a 5 megapixel shooter at the front. Before digging deep into the pictures, let me just show the modes available over here. You will see that it's absolutely similar in both the handsets. Quite interestingly, you do have the Pro mode that we have found in the S6, S6 Edge and the A8, the high-end phones from Samsung, but still they have included in the budget handsets only. So that is a great deal, a great boost. Similarly, under settings, if you go ahead, you will see that the options are quite similar to play around with. You can take some wonderful pictures using them. If I guide you through some of the pictures of similar objects that I have taken in both the handsets, you will find that the Samsung Galaxy J2 and J5, the objects came out bright, good, but the depiction of the picture is a tad better in the Samsung Galaxy J5 than that of the J2. Similarly, for any of the objects or any of the pictures that you see, that the orientation is definitely a great deal in the Samsung Galaxy J5. I am not saying that the camera of J2 is a bad one. Mind you, it's a very low budget handset, and of course it only have a 5 megapixel of shooter. So that way, if you discard the J5, you will find that the picture quality of the J2 is quite amazing compared to a 5 megapixel shooter and shooting in a night condition. I should say that obviously the camera of J5 fares much way better than that of the J2, but still I am in love with the camera of a J2 comparing the budget and each and everything that comes along with. There is obviously a drastic difference in the front camera also. With a 2 megapixel shooter, you will see that the brightness or contrast and the sharpness are not that greatest at the end of the day, as you can find in the Samsung Galaxy J5. The picture of the front camera is way better in J5 than that of the J2. Now, as far as my verdict goes for the Samsung Galaxy J5 and the Samsung Galaxy J2, both are quite similar in its approach. Both have somewhat similar figures and somewhat similar scores, performance, multitasking, each and everything are quite similar in both the handsets. The display is a great deal because of the Super AMOLED capacitive touchscreen present in both the handsets. Now the Samsung Galaxy J2 has some interesting features that comes along with the power booster, and you can optimize your apps, stuff like that. So that way or the other, I guess the Galaxy J2 being 3 months younger to that of the J5, it does have some of the latest orientations and capacity and features that comes along with the Samsung handset nowadays. Now, as far as my opinion goes, I say that rather than going for a J5, it's better that you go for a J7 because of a bigger screen and bigger internal memory. And if you just want to spend less, I guess you go for a J2 because you find the latest features and each and everything with the J2 also. The camera is quite outstanding. So my vote in this segment definitely goes to the J2 just for the sheer reason of our price and the features that comes along with it. But then again, it's me. Do let your views in the comment section below. Hope this video helps. Please to give a thumbs up and stay subscribed to my channel. I'll catch you guys in my next video very soon. Bye for now.